Hello and welcome.
Great to see you. And look at not a Hawaiian shirt today. Right? We have guests.
Yes, we do.
We have to act politely now. We have guests.
Yep, we do very,
You and
very
I can be-
appropriate.
Yep.
We gotta get it together.
We do jokes, but we have Rebecca. So
And who's Rebecca?
Rebecca Chouinard, our coordinator of communication and public relations.
That's right.
Apparently, the mayor needs help.
Really?
I'm guessing.
Not too much.
Well, it's our thought as we grow as the size of our city that we need to do a better job of telling people who we are, what we do, and gathering information from them.
Mhm.
Now, you and I do mayor's updates, so we get some
Yep.
of that stuff too. But the city itself is just saying we can be a far better city if we talk better to people and
Mhm.
let them talk to us and get information. Right, Rebecca?
I agree. Yeah.
Great. Well,
It'd be awkward if you didn't.
Yeah,
well,
maybe a little.
great. Okay. One word answer. Communication
Oh.
recorder.
I'm
It's going to
trying
be concise.
Exactly. Yeah,
Oh,
that's
I
what
like,
I'm going
I like
for.
that. We got right to concisely. Tell us about yourself.
Okay.
I know you're a person from St.Thomas, so many people watching might likely know you.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was raised in St.Thomas on the east side of town. My parents actually lived on Arthur Ave, kind of downtown, when I was born. But 2 months later, they moved over kind of near Elgin Mall on the other side of town, and they've been there ever since. So I grew up there. I went to school in St. Thomas. I went to St. Anne's. But I was also at that school when it used to be St. Gabriel's
Well,
and
St.
St.
Gabe,
Raphael's.
right,
So I got to
yeah.
actually experience like all three of those schools, which is kind of cool.
And
And
they
then
didn't really change the building much. No, I guess they did for St. Anne's.
yeah, just a tad. Yeah.
They put another story on it.
Yeah,
So you're right.
it's changed
Yeah.
a lot since my
Right.
time there
I'll
too.
be quiet. It did change. Just
And then high school, I went to St. Joseph's. I had a really great time there. From there, I went off to school in Chicago, actually, at DePaul University, where I studied communications and media.
that's what made her smart. Now she can come back.
Yeah,
and be
that's-
an expert
Share the
in her own
learnings.
hometown.
prepared me for this sort of thing for sure. But yeah, I ended up going to school in Chicago because I did track and field.
Yes.
I grew up in St. Thomas playing a lot of sports. I was involved with a lot of different organizations around the city. I did dance for almost my entire childhood. I used to do swimming, basketball, played volleyball at school, and then where I kind of found my footing was St. Thomas Legion Track and Field Club.
Right.
So
Oh, wow.
yeah, I was with them
So
for a
tell
while.
us your track and field event.
It's the hammer throw, which so
Incredible.
before last summer,
I've never met a hammer thrower before.
Me
I met
either, except for
Rebecca.
I've seen them in the movies Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah. Okay. that's
kind
different.
of. Have you
It's a
seen?
different hammer throw?
Yeah, have you seen the movie Matilda?
Like the live action with Rachel McAdams in it. Is she in it?
No, I don't know the actress's
Oh.
name, but it's a little girl. It has Danny DeVito in it. He plays her dad. It's like I don't
There's a
know.
hammer
It must have come out in the
throw?
90s or the early 2000s. But
Vaguely, yeah.
This is Trenchbull, who's like the villain teacher. She's a hammer
Ooh.
thrower. At one point, she grabs one of her students by the pigtails and hammer throws her.
Wow.
If you remember that.
No.
Yeah,
Okay,
but
no,
that's
I
my
don't
sport.
We're not allowed
I don't-
to
I
do
didn't
that
see it.
anymore. We get sent to HR.
Yeah,
we just went
that's
through that.
frowned
So,
upon
yeah.
these
Mhm.
days for sure. But yeah, as of like
but that's really unique.
Thank
You know,
you.
when somebody always you go to these events and somebody says, "Well, tell us something unique about yourself," right?
mhm, that would be my go-to.
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah. So hammer
So
throw
then
kind of
what brought you back here?
okay. So I stayed in Chicago for actually 7 years. I got my bachelor's degree at DePaul and then my master's degree at DePaul. My time there was kind of extended because I was in university during COVID.
So you might as well
So-
learn something if you got to sit around.
I
right?
stuck around
Okay.
as long as I could, basically.
So in
Remember
Chicago during
how boring
COVID?
Mayor's update was during COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There probably
you
wasn't that much to
Yeah.
update.
No, there was a
people.
lot.
Well,
there's-
health regulations.
Yeah,
and
so
all
Joe was
that
going every
probably
day.
So I
nonstop.
did every day during COVID.
Yeah.
We did Mayor's update once a week during COVID, but
Mhm.
we did every day.
Mhm.
Hey, call this if you need this, that type of stuff. So it was more
Yeah.
public service than we do now with Mayor's update because now we just ask questions. So I want you all to prepare your questions for Rebecca, right? Really hard ones, please, and start writing them now. And now, okay, so then 7 years at DePaul.
I stuck around and
Hey,
worked
really
a little
classy
bit.
university too.
It
right?
is. I
mean,
loved it. I mean, it was there's a campus downtown Chicago and then another campus in a neighborhood called Lincoln Park,
Love
which
Lincoln Park,
isn't
too.
quite
Yeah.
downtown, but it's a beautiful neighborhood. There is so much to do. I loved my time
Yeah,
there.
you've got two people who like Chicago.
I love
You've been to
Chicago.
a number of
Yeah,
times,
I
and
lived in
I've been a
Chicago
couple
for a
of
little
them
bit.
that
Did
love it.
you?
Yeah,
Right?
Really?
in Berwyn,
Whereabouts? Okay.
the Burbs.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my
Burbs.
uncle was living there, so I went down there right after high school, and then he was teaching at the University of Illinois.
Okay.
And
You probably didn't like them.
They weren't in our conference,
Oh, so okay.
it's fine.
Yeah, because I know where you live in Chicago determines whether you like the Cubs or the White Sox.
Yes,
Right?
for sure.
East side, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, we got way off there.
That's okay. A little
That's why
Chicago
we need a
sidebar.
communications and coordinate.
favorite part of Chicago, like what's your favorite? If you were like to go as a tourist, or you had people coming as tourists, where would you take them?
Oh man, there's so much to do downtown, and there's like the normal tourist attractions.
Walk.
But
Mhm.
yeah, I was just gonna say I love the lake shore, or
Yeah.
just walking along. There's like several beaches, and
Right.
if you look one way, there's the water. If you look the other way, there's an amazing skyline, and there's nothing like it.
Mm-hmm. I know we did the tour
Right.
the last time we were down there on like the boat,
Hmm.
like it's not the walk, but it's actually going
Yeah, through the
Along the
river.
through the river.
Yeah,
And you see all
my
the
family and I
architecture.
did
It's
that.
absolutely incredible.
Very
It is.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then you haven't
So
made it back to
St.
St. Thomas yet.
Thomas.
No?
So yes, I once I worked for about a year in Chicago, and then I basically decided it was time for me to come home.
in media. In
Yes,
communication.
yes. I started out my career as a journalist in Chicago. I went to school, like I said, communications and media, with the intention of being a news reporter, and that's what I did for the first couple years. I moved back here to St. Thomas with my parents in late 2022. And from there, I started working as a reporter in London, actually, for a company called Blackburn Media,
Right on.
which you're probably quite familiar
Yeah.
with. I was there for almost a year, and then I got the itch to kind of get back into the world of sports. And there was an opportunity at Ontario Soccer, which is based in Vaughan. I'm not, or I guess I should say I wasn't a soccer person per se. I played like
You
when
had
I was
fun
4 or
with it,
5
yeah.
years old, but then other sports kind of took up my time. But it was a really cool opportunity to work for Ontario Soccer. I got to meet like the national team coaches and a few players and do some interviews with them. I got to travel to Thunder Bay, which I had never been to. I got to go to Quebec earlier this year before I started
I'm glad
here.
You said Quebec, because Thunder Bay isn't all that glamorous. Sorry to anybody from Thunder Bay, but it was neat. If you've never been there, you should ever go everywhere once.
Yes,
Right.
for sure.
Sorry,
I had a
I'll
great
be
time.
quiet about Thunder Bay. It used to be called Port Arthur.
Really?
Yeah.
How long ago was that? I've
Oh,
never
I
heard
was
of that.
alive, so could be a long time.
Not that long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, not that long ago.
But Thunder Bay sounds so much more glamorous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then Port Arthur.
Port Arthur.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Thunder Bay.
Yeah.
Exactly. yeah.
Absolutely.
Where
No,
you
I do like
from? Thunder.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden, never
Well, it's kind of like
mind. Much in
Iceland,
the background.
Greenland, right? Like it's like,
Well, yeah. Well, okay, get Iceland. It's got ice. Not sure why they call Greenland Greenland.
they want people to go there. It's for tourism.
no, it's great.
well, and like
there is evidence of crops being grown on Greenland.
Is
At
there?
some point in history. I think woolly mammoths planted them, but no, it's a whole different thing. Are we starting to get questions?
We've got a nice shout out to the St. Thomas Legion Track and Field Club.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, a friend from the track and field club.
That's great.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's because we don't get much positive on. No, I'm just kidding. We get lots of great positive comments on here
Oh,
Yeah.
and good
loads.
questions. too.
Yeah.
So
Um,
don't forget, hard questions for Rebecca. Start generating.
Take
So
it easy.
what do you have to do in your role in St. Thomas, and how did you end up here?
Yeah, so from Ontario Soccer, there I was doing a lot of media stuff. They had a very small communications team, and it's a provincial governing body for one of the most popular sports
Right.
in Ontario. So there was a lot to do. I did a lot of their social media. I did like news articles. I did interviews and videos and all of the different things. And then this opportunity came up in St. Thomas, which, as I mentioned, is my hometown.
Mhm.
And I am sort of, at the time, I guess, was looking for something closer to home, to be a little bit closer to family and, looking to settle down. I'm getting a little bit older. I'm ready to maybe start looking for a home, and buying a home in this area for me was a lot more realistic than the Vaughan or Toronto area. So that's one big
Okay.
reason I was looking in this area.
And just the good governance of our city of St. Thomas.
I was
No, I'm
getting
just
there.
kidding.
It's a big pull, no doubt. No doubt.
But yeah, I saw the opportunity with the city, and obviously St. Thomas is very near and dear to my heart. And a lot of the responsibilities that I was already doing at Ontario Soccer, or that I had experience doing from being a news reporter, were the expectations for this role. So, and I thought it was a great chance for me to do what I love doing professionally and do it for somewhere that I really care deeply about. Bless you.
Thank you.
And yeah, growing up here, I've known about the mayor for quite some time. I know that the city.
People talk about me even as far away as Chicago.
Yes, he's famous down there for sure.
Absolutely. The Harry Carey bar in particular. There's some things that happen there that he's infamous for.
No, never mind.
It was a long time ago.
Some drinking involved.
But yeah, I knew that St.Thomas is also growing tremendously. So I knew that there was going to be some really cool opportunities for my career here. Mm-hmm. It would be some very new challenges for me, which I'm always excited about. And it's somewhere that I want to stay for a long time in the trajectory that the city is on. I know that this is the place to be.
So how many times have you been asked about Volkswagen or PowerCo?
Oh, gosh. It's been about 2.5 weeks now here with the city. Yeah. Probably been asked at least twice a day.
Right. So, what's up is up, right?
And what are they asking you about it?
Just everything. You get some people asking if it's still
really
happening. Yeah, that's a yes.
Yes.
That's a quick, easy answer.
And you're not watching Mayor's Update because we talk about that. No, that's the correct answer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and there was asphalt it's supposed to be, it's pronounced asphalt, and it's they put the parking lots in.
Yeah,
yes,
and we're building the rail line, and we're doing a lot of really neat things out there, which are all way better done before we start building facilities. Now,
generally good to have your infrastructure in place before you actually build the buildings.
Yeah, well, we one of our councilors asked last week, can we go out there and drive around now because most of the roads are done, right?
Well,
and we said, no, not most of the roads are done. And no, you cannot go out there and drive around because you get in the way of the real work that's going on, which is building bridges and roundabouts and other things.
Well, as you know, I drive around there a little bit
with
my
get
Jeep.
to go because you do.
But I also put a bolt through one of my tires.
Oh, just by driving.
No.
Yeah, there's things that are around there. So I wouldn't recommend it.
Not till we've paved all of the roads out there and we actually are building industries. That's the right answer.
It's very expensive otherwise.
Yeah.
So they're asking about PowerCo, but things are happening there. What else are they asking?
There's a lot going on in the city.
She's the Rebecca gets to answer the phone when it's somebody who has a question for the mayor or the city manager. And so even just this week, it's, do you want to do this interview? Do you want? Right?
Yeah.
And so we did an interview with Rogers today about the water reclamation facility. Mm-hmm. And we went and did the launch of the John Davidson Walk this morning together. Mm-hmm. That was another neat thing going on. So she's the connection between getting our message out. Mm-hmm. So when there's great news and bad news, it'll always come first through Rebecca on its way to where it might land. Most times I'll say, no, you talk to them. I'm not talking to them. It's not like Mayor's Update where I'm shy and hardly say anything.
Is this kind of like in the U.S. where they have like the public relations person, they come up and they speak for the president in like the U.S. press room?
And answer, we don't do press conferences like that yet, but we think we should.
We should absolutely do that. Yeah. I think, and you get the backdrop.
And the mayor can just hide off to the side and say this.
No, you just
put a bug in my ear.
You just have the wireless Bluetooth, and you can be like
my hearing aids. It doesn't work the other way.
It'll be what's that film where it's like Over the Rainbow or whatever like that, and then the guy's behind the curtain. Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz.
Yeah,
who's that man behind the curtain? Yeah, okay, we could get there. But the real thought, and you brought the Bible.
I did.
Hold it up. It's the communication strategy. As part of our strategic action plan. We said we would write corporate communication strategies. And one of the biggest thing we wanted to design in St.Thomas, which Rebecca will help us with, is to way to get customer and citizen input, not the other way. We're pretty good at telling our story, although we know we could be better at that too. But we want the answers back. We want the questions like we get on Mayor's Update. We want to flow through the city in equal proportions. I was checking my internet the other day, and it's got upload and download, and one's way smaller than the other, right?
Yes.
We need it to be about 50-50.
So
people
like
are sharing with us. And we think we've come across a online system called Engage or something like that, where we'll allow to post a topic and everybody can enter their pieces to it. And we think that's a great way for us to then come on Mayor's Update or at council, talk back, right? And say, hey, we
Very
got
cool.
this type of input. So looking good. We want to do that. But more so, we just want to tell people the great things and good things that are happening in St. Thomas also.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, tell the story and get the word out. I think it's very exciting.
I just took all your thunder.
That's okay. You say it better than I probably
Well,
could at
like-
this point.
I talk professionally. Don't you try this at all.
Thunder Mayor. Anyway,
Well,
Julian's
hi, Julian. I see you're on here. Thank you.
and Julian's asking because I touched base with the Special Olympics chairman to talk about having them come on.
Right. Talk
But-
about Special Olympics.
Right now, my schedule's in so much flux that I have to figure out with the mayor like when we're going to shift things around for the summer. Because when
Right.
the summer happens, we were going to do it just on the Tuesdays, and then we're like, no, everything goes a little bit crazy in the summer.
No, like last week. So we did Mayor's
Yeah.
Update on Thursday.
on
last week.
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, and because I know that because I was at the cottage doing all those neat things I have to do in the spring, and you were at Caps Off.
I had the city
It was
hall in the
Thursday. It was
background.
Thursday.
I positioned
Yeah.
myself. It
Yeah.
was the one place in the city I could be where the
But it
city
was
hall would
Run
be
Club
visible.
night, so that leads us
Yeah.
into our participation thing.
Yes.
Yes.
So we did talk about participation as you watch runners run away from the brewery.
I had to do the mayor's update,
Yeah.
otherwise I would have been right there with them.
Right.
Kennison Deepin is asking when the building at PowerCo will go up on the site.
Well, the permits have been let for the concrete pouring, right? And don't think they aren't cheap building permits. That's a whole pile of concrete.
Don't you just write some stuff on paper? Like, why is that expensive?
Yeah, we could, but no, we'd like to make sure we're following the right regulations.
Is regulations involved?
Yes, of course. It's going to hold up a very heavy battery plant. So we have to make sure it doesn't sink into Yarmouth Yards. Right? That would be a great beehive episode, but we're not going to let
That
happen.
would be the be all and end all of the beehives.
That was punny.
Right. And so I can promise you that we will not let that happen. But
No, and they're doing
look,
tests.
it's summer and we're now into the construction season, and I think we will see certainly through this season the pouring of the start of cell number 1, 2, 3, and 4. That piece.
Are they still doing 6 cells?
That the land is there ready to do it, but let's start with 1. Please let me give me one. Right?
You know, I want it all.
Yeah, and as I said, we speak to PowerCo often, and what's happening next, and they're doing all the things that are right and ordering equipment and all that neat stuff. So we'll be happy with it. Right?
And we're speaking about Thursdays. Kennison Deepin saying that a reminder this Thursday, June 12th, from 4 to 6:30 p.m., Monsignor Morrison Catholic Elementary celebrates 50 years.
Yes.
And they have lots of food trucks, Dotsy's entertainment, and the school is open to look back at yearbooks and memorabilia.
The mayor plans to drop by
Very
after
good.
4:00 on Thursday and say hello.
Mhm.
And I'm a bit terrified of visiting schools because many of the schools I went to, I spent a lot of time in certain grades.
So you've got a little bit of trauma from.
No, and the
from your
chair
time
outside
in
the vice
education.
principal's office that actually even had my name on it. But I'll go visit, and I also attended a Catholic public school, and I still have none marks.
Oh, none of those here.
No, Sister
Yeah.
Valerie was incredible. No, she could get you with a yardstick from more than a yard away. But I will come and visit.
They didn't do that at St.
Right.
Anne's.
No, I think look, part of the reason I had that trouble is because I think I'm funny, and as being the class clown got you to the principal's office or laughter,
It's just surprising how
Sometimes
that works, eh?
right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. So, needless to say, my school years had some trauma in them. So,
Mhm.
perfect. Not enough about me. It's about communication tonight.
And participation.
Uh,
Because we were going to say, what was the date for participation in Pinafore?
It's Saturday, June 21st.
We can hold it up. We have so it's Saturday in the afternoon of the 21st from 11 till 2 p.m.
Mhm.
We want you to come to Pinafore Park and participate. Almost like participate. But there's going to be activities and there's going to be neat things to do. And we're trying to be a city recognized by participation for being an active city. Now we were out today. We saw people mountain biking at the mountain biking trails up on Water Tower Line.
Mhm.
We've been talking about. We're standing at the John Davidson Walk, who walked 30 kilometers today. That's your
Jesse's journey.
We should have put him down and taken So,
Yeah, we need to
claiming
record
30
those
kilometers
steps.
for John Davidson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
we could still do that tonight under a false name. And then we ran into Samantha Wakefield, who walks 100 kilometers a month.
Yeah,
So
at least.
I just shared that with Melissa, and Melissa said, "Is she registering? Is she saying I'm doing this?" All of you at home, please register. There's a QR code on our website.
Mhm.
Go in and register what activities you're doing. We want to be recognized as one of the communities that does lots of participation.
Yeah.
If we're recognized as the top community, also there's a $100,000 prize for the most active community in Canada for
Wow.
sports and recreation programs, which is massive.
Yeah, or the Mayor Benevolent Fund.
Or that.
The Mayor's Benevolence. I love that. And you've got a trophy here. What?
Wait, this is another participation I'll be doing on Friday. It is the Warden's Golf Tournament, the Warden of Elgin's Golf Tournament. This is the first year in a while that it's been Grant Jones as the warden.
Mm-hmm.
But for the last number of years, the mayor of St.Thomas has won the putting contest to start the Warden's Golf Tournament. So we do a putting thing before the tournament starts.
And I was just over there and they were looking for that. Why is that still here?
Well, they called and said, "Would you be sure you're bringing it on Friday?" And I said, "Well, I'm not certain I really want to, because then I just have to truck it all the way back to St. Thomas City Hall after I win it."
Seems inefficient.
Yeah. So just to be more efficient, I'll bring them the golf tournament, the trophy. But
Yeah.
I don't know. Grant looks like good competition too, so I may have
he's
to
a competitive
work harder
fellow.
this year. So,
Yeah.
right. So that's the Warden's Golf Tournament this Friday, the 13th. Also on Friday the 13th, another thing that could be counted for participation, it's run the runway at the airport in the afternoon on the 13th. So if you've ever wanted to run out onto an airport,
and we talked about this. It's never been something that's really crossed my mind as a good idea.
Sounds fun though.
And you can register it and put it in participation, right? So that's happening. Also on Friday the 13th is Spirit Night at Spice Spa. We've been talking about this in groups of 8. It's the first session is 6 to 8. The other one is 8:30 to 10:30. It's $60 a ticket. I have no idea how frightening this might be, but this is a Friday the 13th, so let's assume there's something frightening about it.
Really get into the spirit of the day.
That it's also Port Dover, because every motorcycle in the world will be wanting to go to Port Dover on Friday the 13th. So watch yourself driving this week. It's important that you look for motorcycles because there'll be a lot of them out. And we don't get many summer Friday the 13th. So this is really a unique time and should be very, very busy. So that's the Run the Runway. Jordan's Run the Runway, Friday the 13th. Please come on out for that. Well, I've got another fundraiser that's going to happen on August 2nd at the Railway Museum. So it's a little ways off. Hypno Steve. It's a comedy hypnosis show.
Ooh.
Now, you may have seen some things like this on TV, but I've never been to one in person. And I often get picked out of the crowd to do some of this stuff. So I'm not sure I'm going.
You've never been hypnotized?
Make the mayor.
I just put on like a mustache or something like that. No one will recognize you.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll see if I'm attending. But to help the Railway Museum, it's a great thing. August the 2nd, we'll talk about that. We'll leave that in the mayor's update pile.
Very good.
What else we got up here? Candace, you're asking us a lot of questions today.
And she's making some nice comments too.
Great.
She's going to make sure there's a seat outside the principal's office for you.
Oh yeah, look at
on Thursday
and take a picture. Yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
And then she's
I
got
like it. The dunce cap. Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I don't. I never got that.
I never have.
I wish.
No, never have.
I wish I had. I would have loved that. So, but she's saying that on Wednesday she's celebrating her 10th anniversary for CBD photography at the Business After 5.
Yes.
So we're going to be there.
I saw that she was having a Business After 5 when I picked up the Hometown St. Thomas magazine today.
Oh, look at
Who
this.
did I turn to almost immediately?
I think that's Candace.
Right. There she is with her camera
Yeah.
talking about her 10 years in business.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's a
way to
huge
go.
accomplishment.
And if you haven't read the story, read it. There's some other neat stories in here. There's a kind of funny story from the mayor on Canada Day. There's some other, there's some recipes from Doogie's barbecue shop.
Yeah.
Dougie Wuggies.
Dougie Wuggy. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah, Dougie Wuggy.
Okay. So we want to learn more.
Impact Award cover, by the way.
Look at that cover.
I saw the cover. I was like, that was a long time ago.
Well,
it feels like an age ago now.
Got them all together. Do you do all these pictures?
No, I didn't. No.
Marty was there that night. No. We make fun because oftentimes people have to fill in for Grayden because he's so busy. But they're very professional. They do a great job.
Yeah.
Well, Candace could fill in because
she has totally done it before.
Yeah.
Yeah. City Council also had a nice large meeting, and apparently you were involved with that. What happened?
Well,
as the mayor.
No, we had a couple of deputations of a figure skating group and the Knights of Columbus Summer Fest, which is coming up next weekend. And if you haven't been to a Summer Fest, and this is an annual event that kind of got disturbed by COVID and did some other stuff, but it's a lot of fun.
It's sorted itself out. It's back.
Great job, right? But they've got a fish fry starting off, and I tend not to miss fish fries if I can.
Yes, especially around here.
And there's a kind of DJ music and stuff that night too, which should be lots of fun. We'll see if the mayor's in town, whether he's going or not. I'll ask Stephanie's permission. What else have we got? We haven't answered.
George Polio, that's the photographer for the hometown St.Thomas for the Impact Boys. Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, and of course, this is Jeff Ray. And I often see him taking his own pictures, but oftentimes he's there as an attendee rather than as someone, right? Somehow a story comes out of it, though. It's, what else we got? Expanded ice time we talked about. Some new removal of part lot control. Now, there's some of this stuff that gets fairly boring, but mostly it's about real things that have to happen in cities. We want houses built, so we have planning issues. And in this case, Doug Terry is saying, remember when I said I wanted to build those townhouses over there? Could you remove the part lot control on it? Could I start them now? So we say yes, and that's what some of these requests are. Stuff about it, heritage alteration stuff. Another draft to plan approval of a subdivision in Miller's Pond, part of what the Terry group are working on there. We talked about allowing animals, what do you call that? Petting zoo at Canada Day.
Oh, wow.
Right. So we have to, it's part of our bylaw. We have a bylaw that you can't have a petting zoo without asking for permission.
And I wonder how that got started.
Right?
Like what happened at that petting zoo that brought that bylaw?
Okay, it's not what you think.
Well, I'm thinking a lot of things right now. Do you know what I'm thinking?
Some of these animals can pass on viruses and stuff to children, and if they're feeding the animals, then they may, right? So we make sure that these are all healthy animals as part of the petting zoo. That's the intent, I believe.
That's not where I was going with that.
It's not so people don't get bit by them. I know it wasn't where you're heading with it, right? And I'm not going any further. We had a great conversation about Parks and Rec and their naming policy. Can we name a tennis court? Can we name right?
Can I have a tennis court named after
Well, you would have to. There's a process now.
Really? What's the process?
But we think the process is still to go through customer service and suggest that's what you would like. If it's something to do with Parks and Rec, they'll be brought into the discussion. But there's many things that aren't part of the Parks and Rec side, like street naming and other things.
What about the snowplows? How did that?
Oh, hey, we snuck that through because the mayor didn't ask for permission.
We just kind of did that,
right afterwards. Right? Yeah. So those types of things. That's what that was about, and a lot of other neat things that the Seniors Day in the Park that's coming up in the middle of July. We gave free transit to the seniors to get to the park that day. So
always a fantastic event. Not just for seniors either. I mean, it seems like it is, but there's a lot of people that go.
No, I go. And
and you're not even close to being a senior.
Well, it's happening. Yeah.
We got a shout out for the exotic car show on Sunday, which was absolutely fantastic.
We talked about it last night at Council too, to say thank you to a couple of good young volunteers. You had them on the show.
I did.
When I was in Japan.
And you were there.
Start of the show. Yeah. And then said, finish off. $40 million worth of exotic cars.
Wow.
Were at the show last week.
It was a great
Holy cow. If you couldn't get a nice picture that day, I don't know what you were doing, right?
Yeah.
I saw some of your photos.
I had a great time.
Looking good. Yeah.
Many cars I'll never sit in or touch in my life.
I know. You have to stay a certain distance. It's just too dangerous.
Yeah.
That 4 million McLaren that was there with the carbon fiber or whatever. It was like, whoa.
Incredible.
And they'd like polishers there too. They were off to the side, and like a little piece of dust would come on, and they'd run it. And they'd polish it off.
Well, if you own a car that's worth $400,000, I'm going to make it look beautiful. right?
Yeah.
What if it's 4 million?
Well, that's what I mean, or 4 million. I mean, sorry, Rebecca got the ride in the Nissan today, and she said, when it's not 4 million, I don't keep really good care of it.
She's yeah, of course, yeah,
Broke
same.
and a head garbage in the front seat.
I told you my car's full of dog hair, so
Well, don't even
it
look
beat
at my
that.
Jeep right now. I don't think that'd be a bad idea. Candace is saying, how much money did they raise? Well, they were at 21,000. They were aiming for 25,000, and they had 21,000 on the Thursday before the show.
Right,
Wow.
before the show started. So I assumed by donations on the show day that they got over there.
Mhm.
Because it was a free show. It was come see it, but I would bet by donations.
Yeah, I bet they went over. And then Julian Rick is saying, what's going on behind Grand Central? Do you know what he's referring to?
Nope.
No, me either. Unless it's the Center Street
Oh,
construction.
we're rebuilding all of Center Street,
Mhm.
including with the permanent bike lane we put on Center Street down at this part.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And we have,
The intent. Many people ask me, why are you doing that on that street?
Mhm.
Well, I wasn't the mayor when we first started the project, but since we've already done it, we're going to finish it. Right. But the answer is to it's dangerous to drive a bike on Talbot Street. It's a
Mhm.
narrow street with a lot of parking, a lot
Mhm.
of activity. So we tried to make it where Center Street and Scott Street
Yep.
would be Curtis Street would be the
Nice.
alternatives to if you're going from one end to the other, then come up a side street near where your destination is.
Mhm.
We haven't maybe said that enough because we need a communication course.
and we now have one.
right. So now
Mhm.
we're
I'll
going to
get
talk
to work.
about that.
Yeah.
Right?
Like bam, bam.
Yeah.
And it's so good because you can go either on like the north or the south side of Talbot.
Mhm.
You can get where you need to go, and then you pop
Right.
either south or north to get up to Talbot.
It's
And I've had
perfect.
conversations with many people say, gee, Talbot seems a lot slower. Well, certainly.
yeah.
We made it. We tightened the traffic so that
Technically,
the
it's not
trucks would
narrower,
speed
according to
no,
Patrick
it is
Anker,
not, but it appears an optical to you.
because
and
they have
you
the
go
bump outs. Yeah.
slower. But it is our main street. Two things happen. One is less accidents, less people get hurt. People
Mhm.
stop for the crosswalks because they're going at an appropriate speed to
Mhm.
do so.
Mhm.
But they can also look at the odd business that we have downtown
Yep.
as they're driving by at that
Mhm.
speed. Now, if you're in a hurry to go from one end to the other, take one of the two outside streets, Curtis
Yeah.
and Keynes and or Center. Can't take Center right now; it's under construction, so be careful.
So you can take part of it.
Right.
So,
you can
like
get down
the
part of
east
it.
part of it.
Right, then cut in.
Yeah.
Right? But please, these are the types of things. And we want to also thank, now that we're talking about construction,
Mhm.
the finish of the First Ave project.
So thankful for that.
well,
Mhm.
but
Really-
finished ahead of schedule,
Mhm.
on time. And so then what happens
Cassidy
next?
Construction. Shout out to them.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
let me tell you now what happens next. Why
I
did
don't
we
want to
do
hear
that
it.
so
Ah, la,
quickly?
la, la, la,
Yeah.
la, 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 la.
Well, now we start to take down the overpass on Fairview.
Mhm.
Yeah.
A lot of people
So,
are looking forward to
June
that
16th.
And the mayor
Woohoo.
did say you can't have them both closed at the same time. Well, wow, did they ever go good on First Ave and get that
Yeah.
done? Because that's going to be your alternative to, if you're coming down Wellington or you're coming down, to get on to First Ave to get to Talbot and go east or west.
Yeah.
It's going to also affect the intersection of Talbot and Fairview and Burwell. At
Mhm.
that intersection, as the overpass comes down, we'll eventually have some slowdowns also on Talbot at that part.
Mm.
We recognize this as we try to turn this community into something more modern. Some things have to happen. The overpasses we've left up probably 15 years since the train has run underneath them.
Mhm.
And it's time to take it down. We're now at the point where we can start thinking and worrying about the structure of that overpass. So you're going to see some work done. I have to apologize. We do a lot of construction, but as we said at the start of the show, we've done a lot of the construction up in the Yarmouth Yards area, certainly on Highbury and inside the yards. Before, where it didn't disrupt traffic, we gave an alternative, or are now doing work that you don't get to drive on yet, on purpose.
Mhm.
There's some other communities right now that get their construction season started later than ours, so they don't finish as early as us. But there's not as good a planning, we think, as we can't close off north-south routes in two places. So we did one on First Ave, finish it, we'll move over to the other.
Yeah. No, it's very exciting. The Beehive for this week is actually coming out all about First Ave and Fairview. So tune into that on the ST.Thomas Economic
Well, are you
Development.
showing what happened underground?
No.
No.
Well, a little bit. I mean, I've
Okay.
got it's
There's
open.
nice pavement.
There's a nice transition from the street being all ripped up to clean,
Boy,
beautiful
it's beautiful
pavement.
and painted, and the sod's down. Like
Mhm.
really good. And I will apologize again to Craig Gerlings, because
Mhm.
he was probably one of the most affected. There was other businesses
Yeah.
along there too that had trouble with getting people in and out, but this is the progress of building a city and moving us forward.
Well, it's incredible that it happens that quickly, because I remember when I was in Guelph, I think I moved in there and there was road work going on. And when I left, the road work was still going on. And that was over a several year period. So getting it done within
Doing it in a 3 month or 4 month period of time.
it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Well, the other thing the mayor that never wants to get is where I get a number of people who say, "Why haven't you paved my street? It really needs it."
Hmm.
And they're right. But we do complete street repairs, and so under that street there's water and gas and reclaimed water, and we don't want to rip the pavement off till we have to do something with the pipes.
Mhm.
And so that's what we call a complete street repair. So we rip it up and we go 15 feet down and replace all the pipes and do it again. Because if we came and paved your street and then 5 years later came and ripped that pavement off and went underground and did the pipes,
Mhm.
you'd go, "What are you doing? Who's wasting my money?" So
Yeah.
we want to make sure that that's the reason why sometimes, and I think we're getting really caught up in our assets, that most of the streets are pretty good. But you and I had a pothole contest this year.
Yes.
Too, and we didn't get a whole lot of play. We should name a pothole. We named snowplows this year.
Yes.
Doug asking us, will there be a walking or biking tunnel under the old Fairview Bridge? Yes, there will be. Although the overpass is coming out, we want to save that tunnel along what was the old railway track. So we'll put a new tunnel in there as a walking trail and a biking trail to connect with other trails that will lead out to Yarmouth Yards or lead through the east side of town and through downtown. So as we finish the downtown area, we want to have a connection to it that's not on a road. That's a great trail.
That's
very
amazing.
safe. Right?
Yeah, it's going to be fantastic. And then,
Did I get all the questions?
that's all the questions.
Wow, great.
And we're a bit over time here, so I don't know if there's any.
So we should be
any final
we should be
thoughts?
frugal with our time.
Yes, absolutely. Be very efficient. Any final thoughts, Rebecca, for
call
the community?
Rebecca if you have anything you need from a communications point of view.
Send me an email, anything.
Yeah.
Always looking for great stories around St.Thomas, and like the mayor was saying, always looking for feedback and comments from the community. I've been scouring St.Thomas happenings since I started.
Really?
I did that before.
I can't wait to see what comes out of that.
It's good to get that information.
Very good university education by making her read all of
It's great.
Fun, isn't it?
It is fun.
I actually love it.
I love it. It's an amazing resource.
A bit each night and go, okay, what was the topics of today?
Exactly. It's helped me out.
Talk about it.
If you want to know what's happening, you hop on to St.Thomas Happenings, and you'll see it first there.
It's also still Grayden to the point. We know we've had them on and we've talked about it, but many people think putting something on St. Thomas Happenings gets it fixed.
Yeah.
And customerservice.ca here customer service at stthomas.ca is your only way to get the message to the right department to get things done. I continue to get private phone calls, private emails, private messengers, private texts. If you send it to me that way, I can't forward it on to customer service. I'd rather you send it as an email, or I'd rather you just email customer service yourself and give us your views of the city. Right? And we've been getting some pretty positive letters from customer service too. Had a great one today about Councillor Gary Clark. He ran into some tourists in town and talked about different things and told them different things, and they wrote an email to us to say, "Way to go! You got to keep that guy." Well, I'm happy to keep him. He's one of my favorite counselors. He's one of the top 8.
Yeah,
we only have 8. That's just safe that I
just
say
to be clear,
because I'm a smart man.
Well, you have a great council too.
No, it's incredible. Yeah, how we work together is really good. But anyway, way to go, Gary. No, I've even said it on Mayor's Update. Now you're embarrassed. Right?
Well, I met up with another artist at Caps Off,
right?
And then when we were leaving, they happened to mention
art up this month.
It is. Oh yeah, I meant to mention. I meant to do a pan around while I was there to show people my artwork. But I'm doing a little opening on Thursday if anyone wants to stop by. So it's like a soft opening. I'm just gonna buy some food and people can drink some beers or
at Caps Off.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got a chance to be there. So
Amazing.
Stephanie's back in town. No,
Yeah, bring Stephanie.
That's a good plan. Can I bring dogs?
Absolutely. I think they're allowed.
Really?
Yeah.
No, at Caps
I
Off
didn't
they
know
do,
that.
but
They do. So yeah, I meant to grab the laptop, walk into Caps Off, and do a twirl around, but I never actually managed
you
to
wanna
do
see
it.
I mean, you can see behind me, there's a couple of Langs up there on the wall. But if you want to see more of how great he can be in different formats, not just elephants, because I tend to put elephants up.
Do you love the elephants?
Right. Because there needs to be an elephant in the room. It just works out.
Yeah, and it's based around like social media and selfies. So if you want to take a picture of a selfie of yourself with like a phone in front of your face, then you can do that. And then as I have time, I'm going to do individual portraits of the people that send them.
Doug asked what time.
I think it starts at like 5. It's on the Laing Studios. If you go to Laing Studios Facebook page, it's all listed there. I think it's like 5 to 9 or something like that. Yeah,
nice. I'll probably drop by because you know how I love my stout. So
yeah,
that will work.
Yeah, very low key, nice, chill, good time.
Been to Caps Off?
I haven't. No.
Well, okay, Thursday. There
I've
we
been
go.
to the wine place next door.
Oh,
but I haven't
fantastic.
been to
Also
Caps
I
Off
keep
yet.
saying it's 57 steps from the back door of City Hall to the door at Caps
I should have
Off.
been there already.
Wow, I don't know. That's how that I picked it because I'm not part of participation. No,
You have to walk over there.
Right.
Hey, that counts.
I've often
Yeah,
walked out
100%.
to my car and driven it over to Caps Off.
After a long day.
This is a true story. This is a true story.
It is a true story because I want to go home from there. So anyway, I think we're over time now.
We are slightly over time,
Yeah.
but thank you so much for joining us.
Put this
Thank
pressure
you.
on Rogers. Rogers has to turn this show into a half hour.
Yeah, we'll see what parts they actually care about when we see what they cut.
We cut out all that communication stuff, and no, it's
That's
All the participation is just gone. They're just like,
nothing about participation. Look at the mayor. We know he's not into participation. And then he talked about Caps Off. How could he be? Anyway, it's what we do. We have fun.
We do.
And we listen and we talk.
So everyone, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, great.
Thanks to the viewers. Thanks to our sponsors, and we'll see you
Wish
next
me
week.
luck on Friday.
And we're gonna let you know. The schedule's gonna shift up a little bit, so we're gonna let you know what that schedule is like over the summertime.
Again, for the summer at least.
Yeah. So stay tuned. We're gonna let you know all about those details, and we'll see you next week, whenever that ends up being. Cheers, guys. Bye.